Hello, welcome back if you've been around for a while, or welcome if you're new. Today's video is just going to be me doing a quick life update with nothing too exciting, with the exception of one big change that we are already in the middle of. Let's jump into it. Alright, so getting right to the chase, not making you wait for the big update. Some of you already know this, but as of Monday of this week, Ani has started daycare. Yeah, it is a big change, and let me start with sort of the reasons we've gone ahead and started her in daycare. And the primary one is we're getting to the point where I really want to go back into the workforce. We would definitely benefit from being a two-income family again. And while we were initially hoping to kind of wait until summer, like maybe even August, to start her, an opening came up at our preferred daycare for her, and we've already seen a couple times that it's very difficult to coordinate an opening at that daycare with me re-entering the workforce. Like I said, we'd kind of hoped to do it over the summer because then Lauda would be home all day, so if I was going back to work, Lauda would be here, and then hopefully an opening would have happened somewhere between June, July, early August before Lauda goes back to work. However, it's looking like she might have some work to do over the summer that she volunteered for, some trainings and that sort of thing. And if I'm going back to work with this daycare, it is popular enough in the area that it's really hard to coordinate an exact start date when you need it. So by sort of sheer coincidence, I had an interview that I thought I had a good shot at getting. So we reached out to see if they have openings, and they did, starting in April. Unfortunately, I didn't get the job I interviewed for, but we decided to go ahead and have Ani enter daycare. Again, we just didn't want to miss out on the opportunity of having an open spot when we needed it. So went ahead and put her in now. Obviously, I'm still actively applying. I have a few interviews coming up, all that good stuff. But luckily, with the sort of timing of stimulus checks and our tax refund, we felt comfortable covering at least a few months of daycare while I hopefully find a job very quickly. We're coming to discover that not a great time to be re-entering the workforce, particularly because in most of my work history has been direct care, nonprofit, working with kids with varying challenges. Anywhere from, mental health, in foster care, or just sort of at risk of dropping out at school. I've worked with kids of all ages, like I said, all types of challenges at a handful of nonprofit agencies. And while I loved that work, within probably the last 3 to 4 years, I realized I kind of wanted something new, but I really am passionate about the work that I've done. And my solution was to get an MBA to hopefully move into the business side of some of these nonprofits. Right before Lauda had Ani, I actually did transition into a new role. I loved it. It was program design and quality management at an agency. However, nonprofit work doesn't pay great. So when the doctor was recommending that we try to keep Ani home for the first year of life, if possible, looking at the numbers, it made more sense financially for me to stay home and for Lauda to go back to work as a public school teacher. And that was what we did. And it worked great. I have no regrets. However, it is making job hunting difficult. I would prefer to go, like I said, to the business side of a nonprofit. I'm starting to realize that I'm going to have to go to like a more sort of corporate world type position to take maybe a lower level job to get the experience, but at a pay rate that still makes it worth it. I've probably applied for this week alone, and I'm filming this Tuesday afternoon, like 20 different positions. And the way things are working right now is sometimes I'm getting rejections on the same day. So there must be something in an algorithm or, something where a human isn't actually looking at these things, looking at experience or something. I'm not sure. I'm confident I'll get something, and hopefully I'll get it sooner rather than later. Like I said, I have some interviews coming up, and I think I'm a good candidate for those interviews. However, in the meantime, like I said, Ani's at daycare. I have nothing but time during the day, and it's been very weird. Obviously, I'm only on my second day of having this, but it's very strange. Yesterday I got shopping done, laundry done, my normal Monday chores done. I did some preparation for an interview I have coming up. We have a new spin bike, so I rode that for a while. What else did I do? I put in some applications, and then it was almost time to go get Ani. And then today, I had to go shopping already. She needed some more socks and like a light spring jacket for the mornings. And I got home, I've done laundry, I've cleaned bathrooms, I've applied for a handful of jobs, I've done some more interview prep, I got my hair cut. Actually, that was yesterday. I got my hair cut yesterday. But the whole point of this being, I'm so used to doing some of these things with her here that it's very odd to have, I don't know, freedom of movement. Obviously, there's not a toddler to keep safe and entertain and, feed and all that good stuff. So it's making me get through tasks a lot quicker. So now I'm desperately hoping I find a job relatively quickly because I have a feeling this is going to get boring somewhat quickly. Also, just knowing the way I am about budgeting and financials, I would rather have a second income sooner rather than later, given that we're now paying for a daycare. That said, I'm sure some of you at least want an update on how Ani's doing in daycare, so I'll get to that in a second. I don't want to leave Lauda out. Lauda is obviously still teaching. State testing started this week, so stress is amped up a little bit. But yeah, otherwise she's doing well. She's like me. We have some sort of anxiety about, our little banshee being in daycare. I feel like most parents have that when they put kids in daycare for the first time. But yeah, she's doing well. Otherwise, it's just been stressful for her because of testing, and then obviously stressful for the idea that we're putting Ani into daycare. But otherwise, she's good. She's happy. We're all surviving. But yeah, so Ani went to daycare yesterday. I dropped her off at about 8 o'clock and went back to get her at about 3:30, so a fairly short day. Keeping in mind, right now we only have one car, so the way we're doing it in the morning is we all get in the car, I take Lauda to work, and then I drop Ani at daycare, and then I come home or go do shopping. And then in the afternoons, I do it in reverse. I go pick up Ani and then go get Lauda. Luckily, since today's testing, Lauda got out early, which means I picked Ani up a little earlier than we will once I go back to work. But for now, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep her day relatively short. It's not even that short. It's probably like an 8-hour day, 7 or 8 hours. But shorter than it'll be when we're both working. We just want her to get used to the routine of it. But that said, yesterday at drop-off, she was obviously, oblivious when we got there. She had no idea what we were doing. We've been talking to her for about a week and a half about school, going to school, making friends. So when we got there, she was a little confused, and as I carried her up to the door, I think she realized that there was an adult in a mask, and that alone is enough to freak her out, so she started kind of crying. And then the way they're doing it at the daycare right now is you hand your kiddo to one of the directors at the door, and they walk them back to the classroom after taking your temperatures. And as soon as the director picked her up, she started crying. She was yelling, "Mommy!" So I made it pretty quick. I hustled back to the car. I didn't want to drag it out. Had some tears in the car, drove away, and then spent the day sort of anxiously awaiting. Our daycare used to not do any apps. They used to do the classic paper report for how the kids did, and they actually, funnily enough, switched to a new app yesterday. However, because we're new, they don't have our account set up, so I wasn't able to kind of see how she was doing through the day, which was honestly probably better. I think anxiety-wise, not knowing was difficult, but if I'd had an app to look at, the temptation would have been there to constantly check and check and check. But anyway, I went to get her at 3:30. She was very excited to see me. As soon as I grabbed her, she was saying "Done, mommy, bye-bye car, done." And I was trying to talk to the director about how her day went, and we didn't get through a lot because she was clearly over it. The director said, the teacher said she was really into the other kids. She loved playing with them, but anytime a teacher got close to her, she started crying. So she didn't have a great day. I forgot to ask about her nap totally. I would guess that she took at least a short nap, just because she was in a pretty good mood when we got home and not overly tired. They did say she ate almost nothing. I think that was probably because when they're eating, the teachers are probably really close at hand, making sure the kids are, not choking, being safe. So when I picked her up, I had brought a snack and a drink, and she inhaled that real quick. This morning at drop-off, it was I'm gonna call it a little better. As soon as we pulled in the parking lot, she started kind of crying. She wasn't super happy. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't, you know, loud screaming, but she was crying. And when we got to the door, she didn't fight me. Like on yesterday, Monday, I had to like peel her fingers off to hand her to the director. Whereas today, she willingly, I mean, she was crying, but she let the director pick her up. So she cried longer, but it was less intense. So I'm gonna count that as progress. They still haven't set up our daycare reporting app. I need to talk to them today when I go get her, but I'm assuming it's going about the same. Obviously I'll find out when I get there, but yeah, that's our sort of big update, the big thing going on right now, and I don't have too much else to say. Good vibes, prayers are welcome as far as Ani adjusting to daycare, her mom's adjusting to leaving her there all day, and then sort of thirdly, me finding a job. I think I'll find the right job at the right time, hopefully. But at any rate, that is all I wanted to share today. We will see you again in the next one. I hope you have a great day. Bye.